Hey everyone, today we're going to see the email to-do extractor that I've built using OpenAI SDK and also the FastAPI. So the main intention here is to show the tool orchestration that we can do using OpenAI SDK and also how to access these AI applications that we build using the API calls. So the API calls will be called to the API endpoints that we're going to build using FastAPI here, right? So the tech stack we are using here is Python, FastAPI for to build those API endpoints and OpenAI SDK. The main reason we're not using the agentic SDK here is to just have a little more granular control over the tool orchestration. And also Pydantic is just to have a structural, consistent output from the LLM calls, right? And also Uvicorn is just to host our API endpoints in a local server, and .env is, you all know that this is to load environment variables. Right, now let's get into the demo, and I'm going to show you the first demo run here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to activate the environment first. Oh, not bad. All right. And now I'm going to host that Ubiquan server that we have our API endpoints hosted, right? Oh, my bad. It's here you can see it's app dot main app. I forgot that it's in the folder called app. So, all right. Now we're good. Now we have launched the server, the local server here. So the local address is this one. So you can see 127, 8000. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this local address and use this Swagger UI, which is also an inbuilt feature for Fast API, where the Swagger UI will show you what are the endpoints that you have hosted in that local address. So as you see here, we have one API endpoint that we have hosted as part of this project, and that's a host API call. And the name of the API endpoint is also generate to-dos. Now, if you open it, you can see that the Fast API has given a clean UI where you can test all those API endpoints by giving a request body, and also it will give you a curl URL and give you a response that it gets everything right. So clean. Um, so okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try it out. And now we have a response request body here. So here, um, so there is a reason that we are using a JSON schema here, JSON format as a request body here. So here we have an email, and in the email we have a string that is given as input. So this is the email body that we're gonna give as an input to this application, right? Now, as I said, this is a MVP, so obviously you can build a pre-model before this just to extract all the information from an email and convert it into a string before you give it as input here. So, but since this is an MVP, I'm just going to give the email directly to the request, and I'm going to click execute here. So now it is running the model here. As you can see, once we click execute, it started to run all these steps, all the codes inside we have given inside the API endpoint. You can see all the you can see all the response here in the command prompt itself. As you can see here, we have given an email and it extracted the to-do list, and it said that the extracted to-do list from the email in JSON format is title and book with fall 20 promo, and the due date will be 2025 9/30, right? And so that's the response that we got. And then just to give you a more example here, I'm going to give a CapCut subscription, um, which is going to expire tomorrow. So I'm going to post it as a request body here, and I'm going to click execute. Now you can see the same response in this UI itself. So I clicked execute. Now you can see the response body here. It's still loading, so it's running the entire program. Now, okay, we got the response here. Now, as you see here, the title, and what's the title? It's Renew CapCut subscription, and the due date is tomorrow, which is 13. So today is 12, and tomorrow is 13. So that's the response body, or you can use this response body and you can pass it to another application or some kind of UI and post it and make it pretty. And this is a JSON body after all, so you can make it pretty and use it for the next application, and all, or you can just pass it to the customer in a good UI, right? So that's how this post API endpoint worked. Now let's get into the code. Let's get into the more granular level of how we did the tool orchestration for this and how we generated the API endpoint using FastAPI, right? Now I'm going to open the Visual Code, VS Code here. Okay, so this is the main Python file. So initially we have all the packages to be loaded. It's all the everyone knows import um, JSON import everything. So we set up everything nice with the OpenAPI key and everything. So that's the first part. And the second part is the data models. The data models are very important because um, so the way the LLM models give an output is differs every time, right? So first time it give you the response in one format, the next time it'll give you a response in different format. Just to keep it very consistent, um, we we going to declare that this is the data model, this is the data schema that I want the output to be in. So for example, if you take this class to-do list, right? Are given a title. Okay, the format should have a title, which is a string, and it should also has a due date, which is also a string, and which should also has a priority, which can be high or medium or low, and also it should show the confidence, that how confident the model is feeling between 0 and 1, and that can be float, right? So this is how we declare that the data models, that this is how the LLM model should respond. Now, I have given three data models here, which I will explain as we go down further. Now, just to make it clear that this is why we use data models and this is why we use Pydantic to have a structured output response from the LLM calls. All right. Now, the first step after we declaring the data models is the tool definition. So what are the tools that we are going to use for this AI application, right? Now, for the simplicity sake, I have given only one tool here, which is called extract to-dos. Now, I have copied this syntax from OpenAI website itself. So if you go through the OpenAI API documentation, you can have this syntax. I just changed the properties here. I wanted a property called email body, which should be a string, and I've given a description which says that email body where to-do list will be extracted from, right? I also made that it should be strict. I really need this um, email body, and it is a strict requirement, right? Now that's tools definition. You can add as much as tools as you want, but for this for this demo, I have added only one. Um, so next, every tool must have a function. So if you just have a tool and doesn't do anything, it doesn't make sense, right? So every tool must have an action body. So that's why we declare tool functions for every tool. So here we have extract to do's tool, and for this tool, we have a function here. So what this function does is it takes the email body and give to the LLM model and give back to us as a LLM response, which would be in this format to-do list. You see, this is where data model comes into play. I have given the text format should be in to-do list. Now, if we go back to to-do list, as you see here, I have given the structure already. It should have a title, due date, priority, and confidence, right? Now, that's why this function will always gives me an output that would be in this format only, right? This is why Pydantic is very important and it's very useful for all the LLM calls. Right. And moving down, so far we have given the data models, we have given the tools, and we have given the tool functions, the what the tools can do, right? Now let's get into the main block. So I'm going to explain this for later down the line, but before we come into this, so this is a part of the Fast API. Before we come into this, let me make sure that how the tool orchestration in OpenAI works. So initially we have an input list. I have given an elaborative prompt just to make sure that um, what kind of emails that the extractor can extract to-do list items from, and I've given some more rules and guardrails just to make sure that it is extracting the action items properly from the right emails, right? And I have given the input that we're gonna get from the API request directly as a content here for the role user, right? So this is the initial input list we have with all the guardrails, all the instructions, and also the input, right? And now we're gonna get into, we have the input list now, we have all the tools defined, listed, everything, all the packages required and everything. Now we're gonna get into the tool orchestration directly. The first step is reasoning. So reasoning is what the LLM takes your input and process it and see that, okay, can we use any of the tools that we have in place to process this request, right? That's why I have also given the tool choice here as auto. So the LLM can choose if the LLM wants to use a tool or don't want to use a tool, right? Now, what it does is it takes the input list, this our entire input list, and the input, assess our request using the tools it has. And if it wanted to use any tools, it will give out a response to us, which is this race, which is this variable here, reason. And this reason will have the tools, the list of tools that the LLM wants to use for this request, right? It doesn't do any action items yet. It just has the LLM, the tool calls, what are the tools the LLM wants to use, right? Now, what we do is we take that output and we make a JSON file. Okay, I will explain this, why we're doing this down the line. Now, we're gonna take that output and we're gonna create this JSON file, which says that what is the status, what is the tool that LLM wants to use, what is the name of the tool, what is the type of the call and everything. So now that is the reasoning. So again, I'll say it again. So LLM saying that this is the tool that I want to use for your request. That is the reasoning, right? Now, next step two is React. So React is, okay, we got the name of the tool that the LLM wants to use. Now, okay, let's use it. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna iterate through this response that LLM gave to us initially in the reasoning step, and we're gonna execute the function that is associated with the tool that LLM asks us to use. So this is what we are actually doing. We say, okay, if this is a extract to-dos tool, okay, then go and execute this function. Now what we do, we go directly to give to-dos function and we execute this function here. And here I have also given an input um, here as extracted to-do list from the email body, and also here's today's date, and we also give the body as a string, right? The email body as a string. And I've also given text format that I want the to-do list. I want the output to be in this exact format, as I said before. Right. Now that is React. Step two is over, right? We get the output and we're gonna add all these outputs into the input list again. Um, and we create a JSON model there as well for type, call ID, and what is the actual output that we got from the LLM call. Now React is over. Now we have done the part. We asked the LLM model what is the reason, like what are the tools that it wants to use, and it showed us these are the tools I want to use. And React is okay, using these tools, what can we do? And then we did everything using the tools that LLM asked us to do, and then we called those functions. And then third step is respond. Now we got the input, we got the output from the LLM models, we got everything. Now it's just time to respond to the user, the end user. Okay, this is what you have asked, and here is the response. So we're gonna give, this is where the input list that I've been adding for a while comes into play. So so far we have added everything to the input list, all the inputs and outputs. Now we're gonna give that input list as an input to the final response call, right? I've also given instructions a little bit here, just to create a to-do list only if the confidence is greater than zero point 0.5. Now I want the text format to be in this final to-do list format, and this is the final JSON body that I want. It should have a title and also should have a due date here, right? And we're gonna print this line in finally. So the extracted to-do list from the email is in JSON format, and this is the format, and we're gonna return. So coming back to the fast API. Now if you see here, all this tool orchestration, input list, reasoning, reacting, and responding, all of this we give into a function called generate to-dos. And this function is what is going to act as our API endpoint. We're just going to call this function. I know they call us the API endpoint, but this is the API endpoint. We can also call it as a function locally. We're just going to call this function when we call this endpoint generate to-dos. That's why I linked it as app.post. It's a post call, and the name of the endpoint is generate to-dos. And once we call this generate to-dos, it's going to come into this function and use our request as an input and execute all these LLM calls and return finally the JSON response that we're gonna get in the end. So I hope it made sense. That's how the end-to-end request to response works using Fast API. Right. So I hope it all made sense. I have given all the codes and further instructions here in my GitHub. I'll also give the link below that you guys can check the code. And if you guys want to make it better or improve it on top of this, feel free. And if there's any feedback, also feel free to leave it on the comments. Thank you.